Well, let's start off with the Guardian newspapers. And what do you see right there? It says FX crisis. Nigeria falling out of top 4 African economies on weak currency. That's the lead story on the front page of the Guardian. You also have, a number of riders to that story. Emerging prospects, challenges of state police amid legislative traction. ASU warns of imminent strike over alleged insensitivity by federal government. And just in case you're wondering, 65 CSOs withdraw as NLC dares federal government mobilizes for nationwide protest. All of those stories are right there on the front page of The Guardian.
And we're moving on now to the New Telegraph. Biggest headline there, Tinubu to tripartite panel. We may not have answers now, but we're trying. More on that from page 3 of the New Telegraph. And of course, we're seeing this story from the NLC. Will initiate immediate strike action if attacked during protests. More on that from pages 2, 4, and 5 of the New Telegraph.
Switch to the Nigerian Tribune this morning, and what you have: economists dissect Nigeria's problems, proffer solutions. What are those solutions? Well, perhaps you want to look at the riders for some hints. The details you'll find on page 6. Teriba Rewane Kale Adebajo Fashua Okiti Shitabe want fiscal discipline introduced, a reset of country's economic framework to target key sectors, government to sell real estate assets within 2 to 6 months to attract dollars, the poor and vulnerable targeted through expenditure subsidies. Well, what do all these mean? Details you'll find on page 6. That's the latest story of the Nigerian Tribune today.
Well, take a look at the Vanguard. And what do you see there? Job losses. Factory closures loom as unsold goods pile up. That's according to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN. Naira plunges 254% in 8 months. Existence of MSMEs further threatened. That's according to ASBON. CBN should adopt managed flotation of Naira. That's according to the CPPE. You'll find details on page 19 of the paper.
And on to the Daily Trust newspaper. Qatar backtracks, hosts Nigeria Business Forum. More on that from page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper, of course, giving an update on that story that we've been hearing about for the past few days. So I'll take it again. Qatar backtracks, hosts Nigeria Business Forum. I'm still talking about the economy here. Nigeria reaping the benefits of reform. We're seeing that on the front page of the Daily Trust. And it's a very interesting one here, Mark, where builders seek alternatives as cement price soars. What alternatives are those? Page 28 of the Daily Trust newspaper. We'll give you more.
Interestingly, we had a conversation around that last week, asking the cement manufacturers, are there alternatives? And some were listed. This paper will definitely give you details, perhaps some perspective from that. The Nigerian Observer is what's next, and as you can see on your screen, CBN's new capital requirements send 6,000 BDCs in search of 3 trillion naira. What is that new capital requirement? Well, you may want to check the details. I saw another paper said something else. Maybe we'll get there this morning. You'll find that one also very interesting. But that's the lead story of the Nigerian Observer today.
Well, take a look at this Nigeria, and they have this. Market cartels to blame for rise in prices of food items, says Consumer Protection Council. Tinubu sets up tripartite economic advisory committee. 7 die in stampede during 10,000 naira rice distribution by customs in Lagos. You find details somewhere inside the paper. And that story that also broke yesterday, fire raises residence of FCT Minister of State, Mahmood. That story is also there. Let's leave it there for this Nigeria.
The Abuja Inquirer. Lots of stories from Abuja here, so I'm going to see if I can take you through a lot of them. But a major headline there, 33 years after Abuja's master plan up for review. And they say, according to the FCDA here, lack of funds delayed that review. So that's something to look forward to from the Abuja Inquirer. And of course, you mentioned that headline there, Fire Guts FCT Minister of State's residence, and that's on page 6. And then, of course, we're seeing this one also from Abuja. Abuja vows to protect contractors from hoodlums. More on that from page 5 of the Abuja Inquirer.
And if you check the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper this morning, what do you find? You find that story on your screen. CBN proposal on BDCs may see APCON emerging as a company. See? Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria. Does that mean they're going to be coming up with a bank or something? Well, check the details on the front page. It continues on the inside pages of Daily Independent this morning. And of course, there's some interesting graphics at the bottom of the page. Nigeria reaping the benefits of reform. Really? Well, you may find it interesting on the front page of Daily Independent today.
Well, leadership has this one for you, 5.108 trillion naira in 8 months. Hardship unabated in states despite huge allocation. So that is the lit story on the front page of leadership, focusing on what has been happening at the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee. That story is right there. Labour warns federal government against attack on protesters. Don't forget that Labour, that's Nigerian Labour Congress, has scheduled tomorrow and next tomorrow to host protests across the country. And it does appear a lot of controversy is trailing Labour's plans to host a particular protest. But let's leave it there for leadership newspapers.
The Blueprint newspaper, Defiant NLC insists as Afenifere CSOs urge ceasefire. Police warn against violence. Banana seeks protection. Labour hatching hidden agenda, says presidency. We're seeing more of that from page 10 of the Blueprint newspaper.
Nigerian Tribune this morning, some perspectives that you have there when the economists are saying that Nigerians, they have some ideas, that they are proffering to the presidency. And then, of course, we also see that the president set up an economic advisory committee. Part of that story is what you also find on the front page of the New Telegraph. They're saying that we may not have the answers now, but we are trying. Well, I think it's about time, a good time also for all those who have issues, solutions to please come out. Now, there are some things that we have been operating in breach. For instance, the local government administrations, if they were active, if they were doing what they ought to do according to the Constitution, I don't think we'll still be talking about the issues that we're talking about right now in some cases. For instance, the issue of security. A good number of people have said that that's the first line of defense in our security architecture in the country. So if we could just obey the Constitution, do what it says, allow the local governments to operate maximally, fund them efficiently, I think we'll be making some headway. There's some other paper that we were not able to get to this morning because of time, says that something in the region of 50-something trillion naira has already been given to the governors within the past how many months. And this is where we are. Local governments also have their own role according to the Constitution. If they were doing what they needed to do the way they ought to do it, will we still be in the kind of security, we have the kind of security challenges that we have? Then perhaps we'll be able to produce maximally. No one will be charging people about, that you have to pay some licenses, some penalties or some money before you can harvest your food and crops. It's one of those takes that I have, right now. We're talking about macroeconomic issues, amazing. How about microeconomic issues? What is hindering us from producing? Can we have some low-hanging fruits, federal government, and this tripartite committee? Let's hope that we'll be able to have some answers for them as well, particularly according to this headline on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. That's my take there, ladies.
Well, the take on the economy is certainly spot on, Ayo. I'm sure Kela wanted to highlight something as well on the tripartite committee. Did you see that coming, by the way?
It was inevitable. I think this meeting should have held a long time ago, but it didn't. But it has happened now, and that's where we are. we may not have answers now, but we are trying. So I'm taking it from the New Telegraph, and more on that from page 3. In fact, I want you to be able to look at what the chairman of Bua Cement Company said yesterday to newsmen. He said in an interaction after the meeting, the volatility in the foreign exchange market was not only manipulative but artificial. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, and actions taken immediately, because we can't toy with this. It's too dangerous to toy with this. We can't have this situation going on. I'm glad that he's met with the private sector. I'm glad that this, of course, he has set up this economic advisory committee to address, the nation's economic issues. But we need to see results, Malcolm.
I guess results is what everybody is going to be angling for. Much later, perhaps, in the program, we'll bring you some of the tracks, or maybe business might be the one bringing you some of the outcome of what happened at the tripartite meeting yesterday, which the president held with the governors and also some stalwarts in the private sector. Yes, we're all stakeholders, but at the end of the day, when some people have billions of dollars invested in this economy, let's say some are more equal than others. But then we also heard them all saying that they were on all fours with the president, all of them going to cooperate and see how it is that we can get ourselves out of the doldrums. The governor of Anambra State, who also spoke, amongst one of the governors, said, look, we have what it takes in this economy to drag us out of where we currently are. And so we hope that, we will be matching words with action. But one of the things I'd like to highlight this morning, following on what Kayla has also highlighted in her speech from the chairman of Bua Group, or the Bua Cement now, talking about artificial, manipulative and speculation happening with Naira versus the dollar. You see this on the front page of Vanguard newspapers. Forex crisis, clamp down on BDCs will worsen situation. That's what the presidential candidate of the Labour Party is speaking up against. Recent times, the federal government has brought up a number of measures to try and ensure that only BDCs that are licensed are operating within the economy. We've seen them do raids. The EFCC has gone on raids in several parts of the country, in Oyo, in Abia, in Abuja, here in Lagos, in many parts of the country. These people, they blame them for the speculation, and they blame them for the fall of the Naira. And some people have asked, are they really the ones behind it? Are they really the ones? But whichever way, as Kayla has said, there needs to be a more critical look at what is happening here. We're sure that we're not going to drive these people further underground and make it very difficult for those who have had licenses, who have genuine licenses to do business. Let's not forget that a lot of genuine businesses are unable to really meet their forex demands. When companies that maybe need to purchase, need to do their business, let me put it that way, some of them do their business abroad, need to get forex, do we have legitimate avenues through which they can get them, source this currency without being held back? These are some of the things that need to be looked into. So it'll be interesting to, take a second look at this statement that the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has made on the clampdown of BDCs, saying that it will worsen the situation. Well, I guess that wraps our look at the papers this morning. We'll be back shortly to take a look at something else that has just recently happened, which is the fact that INEC has released a report on how the last elections went. Just stay with us.